Welcome to the Wyoming Women's Business Center's 2021 webinar series. Today's presentation is 5 growth strategies for female entrepreneurs plus learning resources. I'm Christine Langley with the Wyoming Women's Business Center, and I'll be your speaker today, along with our special guest, Steve Emmel from SBA. You'll notice the GoToWebinar control panel on the right side of your screen. I just want to quickly call attention to the questions panel. If you have any comments or questions during the webinar today, I'd like you to use those to communicate with me. Immediately following this presentation, a survey is going to launch, and I ask you to stay on for just a few additional minutes to complete the survey because it provides us and our funding partners with valuable information. We really do read every single survey. All the participants are muted to minimize background noise today. So once again, if you have any questions, just go ahead and type them into that questions panel. All right, we're going to get started with some quick information about the WWBC, and then we'll dive into our topic today. And I am going to try and leave some time for questions at the very end. And this is our new 30-minute format, and so we appreciate everyone joining us today. All right, the Women's Business Center is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to enable and empower Wyoming entrepreneurs with a special emphasis on women who are economically or socially disadvantaged. And we do that through 4 distinct programs. So the first is our business training and counseling program, which is always free. The second is our microfinance programs, which offer microloans and individual development accounts. The third is an artist development center that we run in conjunction with our Works of Wyoming store in downtown Laramie. And lastly, we launched our COVID-19 support program last June, and we'll wrap that up the end of April. And that's been a great program for COVID-19 support relief for small businesses across the state. All right, so let's dive into our topic today, and we're going to begin by reviewing the 5 standard growth strategies that can apply really to any business. Now, those are market penetration, market expansion, product expansion, diversification, and acquisition. Now, I don't want any of these terms to scare you because it really is just terminology that describes things that you've likely already considered for your business. And so what I want to do is just take each one of these one at a time and see if any of these strategies can apply to your business. So first up is market penetration. All right, what does that mean? It really just means you increase your market share. All right, what does that mean, right? What does market share mean? It means you get more customers within the market or the group that you're targeting. So let's take an example. If you own a yoga studio, it means that you'd increase the number of people taking classes from you. If you were an artist, it means you'd find more customers that want to buy your art. Now, the next obvious question is, great, how do I do that? And the answer can really vary depending on your business. So some businesses increase their market share by lowering their price to be more competitive. Now, I always recommend you sell on value rather than price. So I prefer to coach my clients on what I call right pricing, which means really understanding your customer need and valuing your product or service correctly to match. Now, some businesses try to identify a uniqueness in their product or their service, and they focus on promoting their competitive advantage. While other businesses are going to need to rethink the way that they're selling to try and increase their closing percentage. So lastly, you may need to consider like a special promotional campaign. And the reason market penetration is really number 1 on the list is because it's clearly the most common, and it's the first place a business owner looks for growth opportunities, right? Sell more to more customers. That's an easy answer. The tricky part is always, how do you do that? So if you need to bounce some ideas off of someone specifically for your business, we're here for that in our one-on-one counseling. And so I don't want you to hesitate to reach out to us directly. It's always free. All right, next up is market expansion or market development. Now, this is just a fancy way of saying go sell your products or services in a new area. And this could mean anything from a second location to maybe selling online through e-commerce. This can also mean you find new users for an existing product or service you offer. So let's say you're a hairstylist and your primary business is cutting hair or doing cuts and color for women. You could expand by offering haircuts to children or men. Now, let's say you have a product business. Maybe you sell makeup organizer boxes, right? You've developed a product. You could offer that same product as a children's toy organizer or maybe a hair accessories organizer, right? Multiple markets for the same product. All right, number 3 is product or service expansion strategy. Now let's go back to that yoga studio example. Service expansion could mean offering a new class type, like maternity yoga for expecting moms. Now, if you're an artist and you're selling a product, right, maybe you hand paint Mexican hats, and maybe you expand by painting cowboy hats, right? It's a product expansion. All right, next up, number 4 is growth through diversification. Now, this one can feel eerily similar to expansion strategy. And so the difference is that you're venturing far outside your current wheelhouse. I want you to think of diversification strategy as essentially starting a new division of your company. It's something that's going to require its own time and attention, almost like a second business. And so because of that, this strategy is usually reserved for larger companies that can afford to make those kinds of investments. So if you're a micro enterprise, which most of our clients at the Women's Business Center are, that would mean you're a business that has less than 5 employees, then you probably want to stick with the other strategies that I've covered today. If you are considering a major shift in your small business focus, we wouldn't call that diversification, we'd call it a pivot, because you're going to fundamentally change your business model. And that's not a growth strategy for your current business, that's just a new startup. And sometimes that's the answer as well. Again, if you want to bounce those ideas off of us, we're here, reach out. All right, last but not least is acquisition of other companies. And now typically when we hear about company acquisitions, we always think about multi-million-dollar deals, right? But the truth is that lots of small business acquisitions happen every day. And micro enterprises can look to acquire equipment or customer lists from other micro enterprises that are going out of business. So lots of companies part out their business when they decide to close. And that can be considered an acquisition for the company that buys it. So there's lots of small businesses that decide to sell, and the deal can be under $35,000, depending on the size of the business and the overall valuation. So it is something that you can consider as a micro enterprise. The important thing to remember is that acquisitions is to know exactly what you're trying to achieve. And if you know what you're trying to achieve, then you can recognize an opportunity when it presents itself. So be sure to network with those in your industry and try to maintain a mindset of abundance. And so what do I mean by that when I talk about abundance? Well, I don't want you to get bogged down in thinking everything about your business needs to be a secret or proprietary. It really is okay to share your story and share your success, because the barrier to entry for someone to come in and duplicate your business is pretty darn high. Not only because of the capital investment that might be required, but because it's just impossible to duplicate you. And usually in micro enterprises, you're the secret sauce in your business. So don't waste a whole lot of time being paranoid that people are going to copy you, and just focus on being the best at what you do and looking for opportunities out there to increase your customer base or your product line from other businesses in your industry that might be getting out. All right, so how do we relate this back to female entrepreneurs? Well, female entrepreneurs are different, especially when it comes to growth strategies. And while the basic premise of the growth strategies are going to be the same, the way in which women select and implement their strategies can be really different. And so recognizing our differences, I always give certain tips to women in business. And so here are my 7 tips. First and foremost, I recommend that you surround yourself with other female owners and entrepreneurs. Why? because we often experience similar barriers. So we can solve problems together, inspire each other, and empower each other. Second, I always want you to focus on your strengths. Identify what your special strength is instead of focusing on those few weaknesses that we all tend to do. All right. So identify what your superpower is and then develop it so you're the absolute best at what you do. Third, I'm always recommending that you take time for yourself. You're really no good to your business or anyone else if you don't find time to recharge. And I know it's been really tough, especially this year with multiple responsibilities because of the COVID pandemic, on top of all of the multiple responsibilities that you have normally. But I would also like to remind you that being able to go to the store or grocery store by yourself does not count as recharging time. All right. 4, I want you to be proud of your accomplishments. Now, women tend to downplay their success, and we give credit to other people. And it's certainly okay to acknowledge and take ownership of your own wins. And so I'm asking you to find a way to celebrate your accomplishments. Next up, ask for what you want. This is a hard one because we're really raised in a culture that tells us asking makes us either needy at best and desperate at worst. Neither of these things are true. Knowing what you want and asking for it makes you confident and deserving. So I want you to try to flip that script in your head. Next up, don't take rejection personally. Easier said than done, right? Remember that every no gets you that much closer to a yes. And I just want you to switch this around in your mind for a minute and think about it from the reverse, right? Think about the number of times you tell other business people no. When you say no, do you spend the next several days or weeks worried and upset at the other person that asked for your business? No, you forget about it within a few seconds of walking away or hanging up the phone. So if the roles are reversed, why are you carrying it around for days, right? Just move on. You'll get the next one. And last but not least, please don't try to do it all yourself. If you're on this webinar this morning, that means that you're taking that advice somewhat. Women have a tendency to try and do it all, of course, and that's simply not possible. It's really a recipe for burnout. So again, I want you to identify the role, the strength that you play in your business, and work on figuring out how to delegate the rest. And again, a resource like the Women's Business Center, we're here to help you do that. All right, I'm going to turn it over to my partner here, Steve, and just change presenters really quick. And Steve's going to pull up his screen, and he's going to go over some learning resources that are available to you through SBA on a new program called Ascent. And so, Steve, I can see your screen.
Okay.
Perfect. Go right ahead.
All right. And volume's good on everything? Is okay?
Yes. Yes.
All right, great. Well, thank you, Christine. Appreciate you inviting me to be part of your webinar today. I very much appreciate it. We're going to talk a little bit today about a program that was developed partially by the SBA. It's called Ascent. And we're not going to take a deep dive into exactly what Ascent is and go through all the pages. The main purpose of this is just to let you be aware of Ascent, that it's out there, and a few things that it can do to help you grow your business. So our mission is to extend the reach of the SBA and provide a comprehensive toolkit for women business owners looking to grow their small business. Ascent is an online learning platform that utilizes a modern e-learning approach specifically targeted for women business owners who want to grow their business. It's packed with resources women need to set and use to set and achieve their business goals. All content is backed by research on the needs of women business owners. So Ascent, it empowers women to elevate their business goals and overcome challenges. So it's a step-by-step process. There's journeys we're going to talk about and a little bit to go through to help you grow your business and succeed. It's a platform capable of supporting everyone, It's learning-centric experience. It's intuitive user experiences, interactive videos, blended learning capabilities, easily accessible resources, it's incremental teaching. Again, it's different journeys. You can pick and choose the order you want to go through and do these journeys, or if there's some you want to do and some you don't, you certainly have that capabilities to be able to skip those if you want to. And it's solutions to create engagement, forums, personal assessment tools, and dashboard. So why use Ascent? Ascent is designed for the missing middle. So if you're in business and you're kind of stuck at a spot and you want to grow your business, not sure where to do, or you have some issues you need to help on, this is the perfect place for it. It's created for growth-oriented women entrepreneurs with existing small businesses who are running an established business, generating revenue, interest in scaling, growing their business. Now, I know it talks about running an established business, and that's great. That's primarily what it's used for. But there are women out there that have started looking into this. They do not have a business yet, but it helps them get some ideas and helps them get started as well. Okay, what makes Ascent different from other projects? Well, it's a collaborative content from multiple federal agencies. It's backed by research on the needs of women business owners. It's practical topics to help women entrepreneurs, specifically designed for the missing middle. Written by leading experts in women entrepreneurship, it breaks the molds of what a government tool should look like, with links to valuable government resources. This is a program that we've taken a lot of time to develop, probably about 2 years in developing this product, trying to get it exactly right. And again, the collaborative efforts, all the way from the top at the White House, also with the collaborative with the Department of Labor, of course, SBA, the Small Business Administration, and of course, the Treasury Department to help you with the financial end of it. What does Ascent include? Well, it's individualized journeys and excursions that allow users to customize their learning experience. And we're going to talk about those journeys in just a minute here. It's flexible to take short micro lessons or follow a complete journey. An immersive multimedia experience with worksheets, fireside chats, videos, infographics, self-assessments, success stories from real women entrepreneurs, key insights, and discussion forums. So here are the 5 journeys. When you log into Ascent, you'll have the option of 5 journeys that you can take. The first one is disaster and economic recovery. So you need to prepare for disaster by understanding the potential impacts and forming a plan for your business. I mean, that's a good idea. I mean, I think, as we've all seen, coronavirus kind of hit us out of nowhere, impacted a lot of businesses, especially restaurants, for instance. So if they were able to have a plan in place, if they had a crystal ball knowing this was coming, they could have planned for it. They could say, okay, we're not allowed to have guests in our restaurants anymore. We need to come up with takeout strategy. How do we implement that? Also, maybe if it's a restaurant with a drive-up window, okay, you need to staff that with additional people to cover for that. So I know there's at least 1 restaurant or 2 restaurants in Casper that they had, of course, close their dining room, and they implemented additional staff in their drive-through, and I really don't think they missed much revenue at all. They continued on, and it was great. Strategy for marketing. Explore specific planning techniques, strategies, and tactics to help your business stand out in the sea of competition. How are you going to separate yourself from the competition? What are you going to do differently? How are you going to market? Your people. Recruit, hire, and retain the right people. That's extremely important. Everyone knows if you have an organization and you have great people, things move along a lot smoother. And if you don't hire the right people and retain the right people, it can create issues that you would just as soon avoid. Your business financial strategy. Sharpen your financial skills with data-driven decisions. And lastly, access to capital. Understand how to secure the appropriate funding for your business, including which forms of debt and equity. There's all kinds of access to capital out there, whether it's conventional bank financing, whether it's crowd financing, or whether it's a microloan program through the Women's Business Center. But you should understand all your options out there and the advantages and disadvantages to each. So Ascent is not a one-size-fits-all solution. Ascent puts the user in charge of selecting content tailored to their individual needs and busy schedule. So you can jump in and out of the program when it's convenient for you. It's not something that you'll sit on and complete all in one day. Help with recovery. This is just one of the examples again on the disaster and economic recovery, excuse me. And again, it's tools to help your business owner understands the impact of disaster. Help in developing response plan ideas and insights on how to support staff. We just added this extra slide in there again because of the conditions we're in right now with the economic conditions that we're on, and it is an economic recovery situation that we're in. Okay, Accent in action. You can visit accent.sba.gov. You can register for an account to track your progress. Now, you can go into the best way to kind of immerse yourself into this is just jump right in and start exploring the different options, the different journeys that you can go on. You do not have to register for an account if you want to just go in there and start with it and see if it's something that interests you and help your business, which we think it will. But if you want to go ahead and track your progress and things like that, then you would need to register for an account. It's all free. It doesn't cost you anything. So I wouldn't think there'd be any reason why you wouldn't want to go in there and just register for an account and track your progress as you go along. One thing before we get to the question and answers is just like Christine talked about a survey that's going to be coming up here at the end. We also have a survey, and we would really appreciate if you would just log on to www.sba.gov/feedback and just give us your feedback of how you think we're doing. Like Christine mentioned, we do take a look at these. We really do take interest in, and we really are interested in what you have to say and how we can improve. It's only a 3-question survey, so it won't take much of your time. And if you could jump on and take the survey, we would appreciate that. So with that, we can open the floor up for anybody that might have any questions.
All right, awesome. And I'm just going to go back to my screen real quick, Steve, and advance to a questions page. And so we'll give you a couple of minutes to type in questions if you have any questions about growth strategies. And while I give you a couple minutes to do that, I'm just going to cover some closing information on WWBC. So of course, we're made possible, we're a nonprofit organization, and we're made possible through several partnership agencies, SBA being the primary, funding with a matching grant from the Wyoming Business Council. And so we're certainly thankful for all of our funders and their support of our program. If you need contact information on the Women's Business Center, we do that one-on-one business counseling. Jonathan Howdyshell is your first point of contact, so his office phone and email is listed there. If you're interested in any of our specific COVID-19 programs like QuickBooks online subscriptions, which we're giving away for free right now, we have a limited number left. I think we're down to maybe only 45 of those subscriptions left. So if you would like to become a QuickBooks user, or if you're already a QuickBooks user and you're looking to renew your subscription, you can do that through the Wyoming Women's Business Center at no charge. And you can reach out to Veronica Donahue about that program. Our upcoming webinars, we have a full slot of webinars this month on several different social media platforms. And so I encourage you to go to our website at wyomingwomen.org, click on the training tab there on the upper right-hand corner, and you can register for any of these webinars. They're always free. All right, and so when we close out this webinar today, again, a survey is going to launch, and so we appreciate you hanging on the line to check that out for us. All right, Steve, it looks like I've got one question around acquisitions, and so the question is, okay, how would I network with a similar business in order to find out if there was an opportunity for an acquisition? Like how do you make that approach? And so I can tell you it's similar to a sales call. And I'll tell you in my own experience, I had an ice cream company in the Laramie area for almost 7 years, and we were phasing out of that business. We were selling a portion of that business, the food truck side of that business, we were selling to another company in Denver. but I had kind of a robust business inside a concession stand at the AA Arena on the University of Wyoming campus. And so that concession stand contract was kind of up for grabs. And so I literally just did a walk-in. I walked into the local creamery there in Laramie and introduced myself. And asked for the owner, and the owner came forward, and we had a quick little meeting where I just explained to him that we were getting out of the business because we were selling the Denver-based food truck business, and that concession stand was going to be available, and I was looking for a buyer essentially to buy the equipment that was in that stand and then give me a little bit of blue sky for the customer base that we had built over a 7-year period. And we were able to strike a deal rather quickly. Didn't involve any attorneys or anything, major. It was just an introduction to the concession staff at UW with a short little memorandum of understanding document that we wrote up between the two of us. He cut me a check for my equipment and a little bit more for the customers, and we were on our way. All right. Another question here is, looks like, can you show Veronica's email again? Absolutely. Veronica, one of our most popular ladies at the Women's Business Center, Veronica Donahue. It's veronica.wwbc@gmail.com. Everybody that worked on our COVID-19 program this last year were temporary employees. And so we went with Gmail addresses instead of our regular UW addresses, because as all nonprofits, we're trying to do more with less. And so Gmail was our friend last year. All right. Thank you so much for that. So we're coming up on our 30 minutes, so we'll go ahead and close out. I don't have any other questions today. Thanks so much again, Steve, for joining us. And everybody have a great week and stay safe. And hang on for the survey. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Christine.